So instead of I should, let's shift our mindset to I want. And with that, we can begin to change the status quo. So quickly on Forte, many of you have heard of Forte before you registered today, or maybe not, but our mission is actually working to do just that, to change the status quo, to launch more women into positions of leadership across the business world. And it's not just Forte that's trying to do this, but it is well known through lots of research that diversity on leadership teams means profit in the bank for companies. You can see here that companies with above average diversity scores do much better, 45% average innovation revenue reported by companies versus those with below average diversity. So it's not just like the right thing to do. You want diversity of thought. You want to see diversity, but it also is very profitable for companies to have diversity amongst their leadership team and across their company. So Forte really works every day to inspire our members through role models. We want to empower you to think beyond your major. We want to provide you with career exploration tools to imagine careers that you've not even heard of or thought of before. We want to provide education to all of our members, access to business education, introduce you to these leading business schools and executive education programs that are partners with Forte. And most importantly, just like today, we want to connect with you. We want you to connect with like-minded peers. We want you to have a community of successful women, companies and schools to be surrounded by, to help you reach your goal, to help remind you of that word that you are kind of keeping front and center, and sort of keep that mindset of I want versus I should. In case you're not aware, Forte does have 100,000 members. We have over 160 partners. There's over 15,000 women every year that attend our programs. So a quick story to just sort of give you some context of this power of now that we're going to be talking about. When I was thinking about where to go to school, I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I thought it was the smallest city in the world, and I was really set on going to a city school, and so I chose Northeastern in Boston. But it was expensive, and my father said, well, I'll pay for, you know, part of it, but not all of it. And so I came up with a plan about how to afford this school that I wanted to go to, Northeastern. And I lined up subsidized loans and work study and a part-time job. I was determined to go to school. So this is a very old photo of my mom dropping me off at Northeastern at Whitehall. And I was so excited to be there. But just like the pandemic, you don't see these sort of life moments, these turns in your life happening. By the second semester of my freshman year, my father's job was transferred overseas, and I lost all my financial aid. And so these financial aid officers called me because at the time you didn't make overseas phone calls, and they basically said you lost all your loans. And the only way I could stay there is if I took 18% interest on these loans. So I ended up transferring back to Indiana to go to Indiana University, but I felt like it was such a failure. I felt like I had kind of lost my goal of going to school in the city that I chose. So I didn't give up. I had built this network already at school, and I kind of fought my way to get back to Boston. I wrote letters, and I pursued a summer internship in Boston, and through that internship I kind of proved my commitment, and I came up with this investment. My maiden name is Lutz, so the ML investment. I presented it to my employer and said, hey, if you really like the work I've been doing, how about you pay for the rest of my education and I will keep working for you. And they agreed. And so I was able to get back to Boston. I shifted to Boston College, but I was back to the city that I wanted to be in. And it was sort of that experience, sort of leveraging that power of now, that taught me so many things. It was such a huge learning experience. And there were other ones. I mean, it wasn't just that. It was the waitressing job. It was renting an apartment that was full of roaches, and no one was there to help me figure that out. The Iraq war started, and so I did a pro-troop rally There were so many learning experiences that I had in college that really became the foundation of who I was. And so I just wanted to share that with you in terms of, this conversation today. Everything that you do, in particular in your undergraduate experience, is so powerful and has meaning in terms of the skills that you're gaining, the negotiation. When I was talking to those financial aid officers, I made that presentation to the boss at my job. Obviously, the communication and writing letters, the leadership and the pro troop rally, project management across everything. Everything that you're doing has meaning, is powerful to your future. Being a waitress, oh my goodness, that couldn't be more applicable to cross-functional leadership in any organization you're in. I highly recommend everyone be a waitress at some point early in their life. So this is what we're talking about. The second thing, I said I was going to give you 2 strategies today, and the first one was mindset, and the second is action. It's the power of now. We're going to break it down into person, profession, and people. So first, your person. First, always, number one, you have to be the sort of figure yourself out before you can do anything else. And so college is this time to explore. And I highly recommend that you make interesting choices, meaning what are the organizations that you are a part of, whether you're in a sorority or a student club or an athlete or a performer. It's no matter what you're a part of, are you going to keep things the status quo, or are you going to seek to take your role to the next level, or maybe introduce a partnership that you can set up, or a tradition or process that needs to be improved? So I guess the first thing I'm recommending here in the power of now is to not just have this role in your organization be that, see what you can do with it to take it to the next level. And to that end, the second thing, the comfort zone, where it's very safe, right, to keep things the same. Your classes, are you stretching yourself? This is the perfect time, because from what I'm hearing, not only from my own kids, but other undergraduate students, that sometimes these online classes are not taking up as much time. You don't have the distractions of being on campus. So is this the time that you take that statistics class or the analytics class, or how about a language course? Brush up on your presentation skills. So get out of that comfort zone. Think about maybe what are some of those gaps in your skill set, and use this extra time to pursue that. And the third one, number 3 here on person, is seeking opportunities to grow yourself further. So other activities. So maybe you're feeling really good about being in the sorority or being an athlete, but how about joining a cooking club or an a cappella group? And maybe that's not possible right now because you're not on campus, but you can research it now and pursue it when you go back to campus. So make a lot of connections kind of outside of your existing world, so outside of your sorority or your club or whatever, and try to, reach out a little bit farther. So it's also a time to kind of feed your soul when it comes to your person. When I say feed your soul, it's sort of stuff outside of what I was just talking about. Traveling, thinking about your future in terms of a graduate degree, and also reflection. All 3 of these are key. So let's talk about travel. Obviously, no one's traveling right now. No one's getting on a plane, but you can be planning some travel for the future. So great time to research. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Forte, for example, is hosting college conferences in the fall. We provide travel stipends for students to travel to those locations. So if you haven't traveled much, college is an awesome time to spread your wings and pursue that trip. It can be a small trip, it can be a big trip, it can be a road trip. But again, getting outside of your immediate kind of circle really broadens your perspective, and it helps you think beyond what's right in front of you. Also, graduate school, it's not that far away, and something like an MBA, you want to get a couple years of experience and then go back to school. but you can take the GMAT, the preparation test, the admissions test, when you're a senior, because the scores are good for 5 years. So this is, again, especially seniors that might be having extra time on their hands before you starting your job search, or while you're starting your job search, start studying for whether it's the GMAT or the GRE or the LSAT. Think about your career in terms of not just the job, but what kind of graduate degree might you want to pursue. And you're never going to score better than while you're in college. All the research shows that women and minorities score better on admissions tests while they're in college more than any other time in their career. So we highly recommend for you to be thinking about graduate school now, and you can study now, and then you have the score for later. Lastly, and this could not be sort of stressed enough, but reflection. I don't do this enough myself. Finding that personal space, taking that deep breath, having some time to yourself to really think about what is important to you. You're not distracted right now with sort of social commitments. So reflecting on, what do you want from your career, from your future employer? What are those values, those personal values that you have that are going to be important to a future employer? Making sure that whatever sort of industry or function, or if you have a list of employers that you want to work for, do their values align with your values? So really giving some time. And what's important is not just you knowing that, but then when you go into an interview, you're going to be able to communicate that, and they're going to be so impressed when you say, you know what, I chose to pursue your company because my values align with your corporate values, and that means a lot to me. That will really make a difference to someone that you've taken the time to think about what are your professional values. So let's take a second here and see who out in the audience maybe has some examples to share about any of these things that I've just suggested, exploring your careers or feeding your soul, that you might have already done when you were on campus, or you've been doing during your quarantine. Because sharing best practices is one of the best ways for us to, not only be inspired, but to come up with new ideas. So is there anybody that wants to share some things that they've already been doing around exploring careers or feeding your soul? Yeah, I see some flashing. Amy, do you see any coming in?
I do, and these are great. Thank you so much for sharing. But one person wrote and said that they were really able to explore their career and travel at the same time by going to conferences and competitions throughout college. And they went to Fast Track to Finance, which is one of ours, so thank you. A lot of you are doing informational interviews right now, which is a great use of your time right now. Oh, I love this one, taking advantage of a free Coursera class to upskill and get certifications. Fabulous. Alexandra, I love you. You're studying for the GMAT. I'm so proud of you. That's great. That's amazing. What a great use of your time. Reaching out to LinkedIn. For those of you who are listening in, we did an earlier recording where our speaker talked a lot about LinkedIn, and you're welcome to get the video link to that and try that if you are using LinkedIn as a vehicle. Right now, just trying to improve skills. Someone's working on Tableau. I love that. We've heard from our employers how useful that is. And love this, getting through the nonfiction book list and dedicating time each day to improving a second language.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, so many good things happening out there. I'm really proud of everyone. That's awesome.